Okay, so let's do a live holder for a Haas DS30, and this component has 4 milling spindles on it. And the first thing that we want to look at is the orientation. This is a tool holder from WTO. So this is the face that is going to interface with the turret. So we're going to go ahead and align that by X. And if we go to an ISO view, we're just going to verify that the Z-axis is going to be in the center of this cylindrical feature. So we'll hit Align Z again. And then what I want to do is make sure that this is facing the correct way, either toward or away from the main spindle. So in Esprit, what we're looking at here is the Z-axis is going to point toward the main, and that's typically the default. So looking at this from the side, it looks like this is the side that would typically face the main, because usually the sub is offset inward. So what I'm going to do is just hit Control A, or you can right click and say copy, right click and select all, and then right click copy and say rotate, and we're going to move, and we're going to say 180 degrees, say OK, and that is going to get this in the right orientation. Now what we can do is go ahead and set my tool spindle axes. So what I do for me is I always use the position closest to me and the main side as the primary numbers. So this would be tool position 1, 1, and this would be 1, 2. 1, 1 being closer to me, 1, 2 being away from me, and then this would be side 2. So this would be tool position 2, 1 and 2, 2. So what I'm going to do first is just go ahead and maybe orient my UVW so that it's oriented correctly for this position. So what I'm going to do is come up here and go to Rotate UVW, and down here it asks for the rotation angle. So I'm going to say 0, minus 90, 0. And this will get my Z-axis pointing into the holder and my X-axis pointing upward. So what I'll do now is just transfer that by using the translate command. So I'll pick translate, and then the highlight will select the center of that face. So here what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and say TSA underscore 1 underscore 1 and say enter, translate, come here and say TSA underscore 1 underscore 2. Okay, so these two are done. And now what I might want to do is come over to this side and do the same thing. So I'll translate it into the position first this time. And what I want to do is now do that rotate again. So we will just select rotate UVW. And then this time it's going to be, if you look down here, it says what is the rotation angle. We're going to do 180, 0, 0. And that will flip the vector for the Z back in toward the turret on this side. So now I'm just going to do a TSA underscore 2 underscore 1, and then do another translate, pick this, do another TSA underscore 2 underscore 2, and that is pretty much it. So at this point, if you don't care about the colors, we can go ahead and just say File, and we'll say Save As. And here we want to pick holder files. So for me, I'm just going to go ahead and place this under holders, WTO, live milling, Haas, and then in my Haas ST DS30 folder. But if you do want to change some colors, We can do that now. So what I'm going to do is basically just Control A, come to Properties, and expand General, and say that this is going to be a darker gray. Now, typically on their website, this is black, but black doesn't render, nicely. So I'm just going to do maybe like 80. We'll put this at 79. That's close enough. And once I do that, it's pretty dark. So I'm going to hit F4 on my keyboard and come down here, and for faces, on this first one, we want to do a selection filter. So I want to pick bodies and click in the window here to deselect everything. But then here on this third from last, go ahead and select face. And when I do that, I can then just window in on some of these faces. And you can see that we're getting those front faces selected. And you can add or remove faces by holding Control and selecting a face or unselecting it. But I've got these two sides, so I'm going to go ahead and right click and say Copy, Attribute, and we'll go to a light gray. And I'll say OK. And if you look at their website, this is kind of what, they have a silver uncoated steel, and then, they have coating, corrosion protection on the body. So this is what I'm going for. So we're going to go to F7. No, that one's not going to work. We'll go back to F4 again. And we'll zoom in over here and do the same thing over here. So I'll just kind of do my little box by scrolling from the left to the right. And I grab the same solid faces, and I'll copy, go to Attribute, pick light gray, say OK. And that produces the 4 collet nuts, I guess assemblies or whatever, spindles, in light gray. And then on the actual logo, if I look at their website again, usually it's like red and it's sitting inside of, like a little emblem that could be white or silver. But I'm just going to go with the red. Some of these are white, so I'm going to stick to consistent red here on all of these. So I'm just going to pick the bottom face, and let's see what that looks like. So we'll come here to red, this one here, say OK, click away, and that is what it looks like. So what I'm going to do here is just basically resave my file. So I'm going to save as holder file and just basically write over the one that I just made. So at this point, we're ready to use this on the machine.